Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small,
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 164 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know there are lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making me one of them. If you're enjoying this podcast, I'd love you to take a screenshot and share it on your socials and tag me. You can find me on all the social platforms, but it'd be pretty cool to see a little bit as to who the listeners are. I know quite a few of my listeners because they reach out to me, but if you haven't reached out to me, then I would love for you to do that for me. Just a reminder before we get into today that you can find the show notes for this podcast at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/164. Today, I have an amazing guest. I have a really special guest for you today. Her name is Emily Osmond, and she's not only a fellow podcaster. In fact, I was just on the Emily Osmond show a couple of weeks back. So go out and check out that episode of her and I chatting about human to human marketing over on the Emily Osmond show. But she's also a fellow lover of marketing. Goodness me, I need to get my words together today. So I love chatting marketing with other marketers, and this conversation is no exception. Emily helps service-based businesses book out their clients and scale their online programs. And today she is talking to us as to the importance of why growing your Instagram can also help you grow your entire business. The pieces of gold in this episode are amazing. Her stories and her knowledge will really help you see Instagram and your business in a whole different light. Even if you're not on Instagram, don't click get out or stop just yet. There is real power in the points that she makes around marketing in general and the use of social media to grow your business. So I really hope you enjoy my chat with Emily. I know I did, and I know that you're going to love her and the interview. Emily, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this morning.
Oh, Jen, so thrilled to be here.
Oh, it's just great. So, Emily, I know who you are and I know your great podcast that you have, but can you tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a business marketing coach, and ultimately I help women and people that are starting out in business. They're selling their services and they really want to make it replace the revenue they're making from their job or what they were making before. So I look around the $100,000 mark or so to really get them to that stage in their business. And then once they're there, there's often 3 ways to scale. So whether it's then creating a product line, whether it's then moving more into the staff and the agency model, or whether it's more into the online program space. And that's the one that I can really help people with. And I'm very obsessed with as well. So I have a couple of online programs that I teach and have great communities around. I do quite a bit of speaking. And then I also, like you mentioned, I have my podcast too. And events. I forgot about events, run retreats. I just love it. And to kind of actually dial it down into my ultimate goal and purpose behind my work is really to accelerate the equality between genders, and for us as women to have that financial security, abundance, and also for us as women to have our voices and thoughts and ideas respected equally and listened to equally as men. And that's something that I've certainly experienced not happening in the past. And I got quite angry about it. I left multiple workplaces, and it led me to start out on my own in my own business and create a workplace in a space that I wanted to be in. And so that's really the driving force behind what I do, is to help other women to create their own amazing workplaces in their own business, and to create more of that financial security and abundance and power and influence in the world.
Yeah. Wow. That is, and I know a little bit about your story, and if, this is the first time you're hearing Emily, I would highly recommend you, do a bit of Google stalking, because it's just not something you say. This is a lived experience and something you are really quite passionate about. So I absolutely love that. You mentioned about replacing income. Have you seen an increase in that? Like, I don't like to talk about the pandemic too much on my podcast, but I really do feel that there has been this movement of, and especially women, going out, starting their own businesses. Maybe it started off as a side hustle, but now, trying to turn that into a business that can replace that income. Have you seen that trend as well in the last 18 months?
Yeah, I have. Just last week, I was in contact with someone, and she's got a great job at a great workplace from, the outside, but she shared with me that, I guess, working from home for so long, she's based in Victoria, it's just really made her reassess what she's doing, what she wants. Is this her passion? She's got this other thing, other qualification that she's really would like to explore, and perhaps move away from that employment into creating her own business. And in doing so, like I said, create that workplace, that experience for herself that feels positive and feels fulfilling and feels rewarding. But yeah, I have seen a shift, and I think it's probably the shift that we're seeing as well, people moving out of the city, and just all of us reassessing what's working for us. What have we just been doing out of default because it was the norm? And questioning everything. And I think that's something that I do even now that I have my own business, is always questioning, is this still making me happy? Is this still feel in alignment? Is this still what I want? And I think that it's something that we should all do always, is look at, is this still working for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Over the Christmas, January period, there will be certainly a lot of reassessing in Jen Donovan world, as well as what the future is going to look like and things like that. And I guess that's the power of owning your own business and being able to make those shifts and test and measure and, listen to your community and all that. So I absolutely agree. But even though that would be a really interesting conversation for a whole podcast to talk about, we are, I have got you on here because, I think that you're a bit of a master of Instagram, and I really love the idea of, if you can master Instagram, you can kind of master your marketing. So what I love is two marketers having great conversations. So I hope that anyone who's listening who's not into marketing will also, decide that this can be a passion of theirs. But what do you mean by that? Just mastering one platform, can that really help us overall in our overall marketing strategy?
Yeah, such a great question. So what I find, and why Instagram, is that I do find it so powerful for a lot of small business owners. Just as a platform itself, it's where so many people are spending time, and it's where so many people are looking up businesses and actively searching for businesses, or they'll be kind of, businesses will pop up in front of them because they've appeared in the featured area or whatever it looks like. So I'm not someone that is, it's got to be Instagram, or it's got to be part of your strategy. But right now I do find Instagram, and I have found it for the last few years, to be very, very powerful. But having said that, there's other platforms as well that perhaps are more suitable to certain businesses. But when it comes to really mastering a platform, in doing so, I really have seen the way this helps people build their skills, their competence, and their confidence around their marketing in general. And so I kind of have three different phases that I see that we need to have in our marketing if we really just simplify this. And
that's the name of the podcast. So
yeah. And so if we look at the first one, before any marketing that we do, we've got to have the purpose. And I call this the plan. We've got to have some sort of plan, some sort of strategy, some sort of reason behind it. And it's the same with Instagram. There's no point just posting content on there without some reason behind it. that is going to be a waste of our time and a waste of our efforts and ultimately just not get us results. So that's kind of the first thing there. We need the purpose with our whole marketing, but also we need a purpose if we're going to be on Instagram or LinkedIn or Clubhouse or Facebook.
Yeah. So this is, of course, where people who do just go and post and then say things like the platform doesn't work, my business isn't good, and have that self-doubt where is, perhaps if, like you're saying, they start from the start and, perhaps take that step back and do some planning or, of course, in marketing people chuck around this word strategy, but strategy is
intimidating,
a fancy word for plan.
Totally. Totally. And I think I've really seen this with, I had a client that ran an accommodation place, amazing accommodation. And when we started working together, she was posting 3 times a day on Instagram because she thought that was the right approach. And so I was like, okay, tell me more. Tell me why you're doing this. Tell me the purpose of this. What are you trying to achieve? And she couldn't really answer those questions. The only thing was that she heard that was the thing to do was to post a lot, post a lot of content. And so when we could then take a step back and really look at what do you want to achieve from this? Is it a number of bookings per month? Is it media coverage? Is it, let's get really specific, really granular around what are the outcomes we want from this? Similar with, I worked with a cafe. Same thing. They were kind of on Instagram and sharing a few photos, but no purpose behind it. So again, we looked at what do you want this to do for your business? And we could identify that they were going quite well in business in the evening times, the lunch times, but they had a bit of a gap between those peak times in a restaurant, the mid-morning and the mid-afternoon. And so we could then dial into what great content and a strategy would be for their Instagram would be to post those right photos at the right time. Back then, this was when you could control a little bit more around when people actually saw your content. So we're like, right, let's hit Instagram at, let's say 9 a.m. after the school drop off, when people are perhaps now looking to go and grab a coffee, and let's post a coffee and a beautiful piece of cake that'll get right in front of these people. And so this then led them to seeing results from what they were doing. And you and I, Jen, are both so passionate about small business. We know that we have so much on our plate as small business owners. We never have enough time to do everything. So let's really get the most results from the efforts and time that we're putting in. So that's kind of what I mean by starting with an actual purpose, having a clear message, having also clear offerings. What are we like? Do we actually have clear packages, clear services that people can now buy from us? And also the tracking. What are we trying to achieve? And how is it going for us? So I tell my students, like, every week be tracking, okay, what reach did you get? How many sales did you get? Where did those sales come from? How many posts did you actually share? And let's look at what's working so you can adjust along the way.
Yeah, it is that whole, just having a look at your insights or your analytics and things like that. They're such a great way to make good business decisions rather than I think this is happening. Data doesn't lie, and that's what I love so much about digital marketing is that there is solid data to back up decisions that you will make for the good or for the bad of your business.
So the next one after that plan stage is, I call it post. And it's really then, okay, we got an idea of what we're trying to achieve and what we want, and this is how we activate it. And we get it out there in the world. And so if we go broader marketing, this is when we're now getting our business in front of people. And there's so many ways to do this. It could be publicity, advertising, networking, trade shows, like so many ways. Letter drops. My partner keeps saying, are you going to do letter drops? I'm like, Coden, this is not the strategy for my business. He kind of jokes with me. But anyway, so then when we look at Instagram specifically, this is where we can really get immediate feedback from our audience, which is what I love, around what we are doing and around the marketing that we're doing. So for instance, we might have thought around, let me think of another business. So we might be a website designer. And we've thought about that in our plan around the type of client we want to attract. We know the type of services. Maybe we really specialize in clients or businesses in the beauty industry. And that's the type of websites we want to design. So we might have figured that out in the plan. And we know then that the type of content we're going to be sharing is speaking specifically to those beauty businesses, is perhaps sharing the power, the results that they can expect if they have a really well designed and optimized website. So when it comes to the post, this is the type of content to share on social media. This is the audience to speak specifically to. And this is, if you're active on Instagram, you can go out and actually find these ideal clients. You can use hashtags, you can go search for types of businesses to then really get, like I said, be active rather than passive. And this is so important across all marketing, like customers, until we get to a certain stage in business, but really never is this going to happen. Can we just sit back?
Yeah.
We've always, and especially in those earlier days, we really have to put ourselves in front of people. And this is why I say you can master marketing really by learning how to master Instagram, because on Instagram, like I said, you can use those hashtags, you can go use the search function, you can comment, you can go and find your ideal customers. And when I started my membership program, that's how I got a lot of my ideal students in there. Is I looked at, okay, photographers, let me go and find photographers on Instagram, let me build relationships with them. And that's how they then found me, got to know my business, and then ultimately moved closer into it. So it's so applicable. Also with the confidence side of things, Jen, and the video, I know that this is a big strategy that you use and you encourage too, is Instagram's such a great way for us to build our confidence and practice with video. We've got the Instagram stories, and as you know, they're gone in 24 hours. So even if it's the most cringeworthy video that we've ever recorded, we can't even bear to look at it. And I know, like I was so bad at this right at the start. I would spend an hour trying to get a video on my Instagram stories that I was semi happy with. And now I've kind of just let go of that, and it just is what it is. But it's such a good place to practice and to build our skills and to get that confidence. And let's say we've now got confident to put that Instagram story up of us speaking to camera. Just imagine now when perhaps we're asked to speak on a podcast, or we're asked to do a collaboration with a brand on a Facebook Live, or we're even asked to speak at an event, or whatever it might be, that we now have a boost to our confidence, a boost to our skills, and a boost to our confidence to do it, that we've managed to build up.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, building confidence and just having the heart and just a little bit of courage to throw in there to show up. Absolutely. Just a question, and maybe heading back a little bit to the planning, but also to the posting. So if you take a platform like Instagram, how do you decide what content should be on stories versus IGTV versus your feed versus now Reels? Like that, because we often say, is your ideal client on Instagram? And the answer to that might be yes, but it's like, okay, so what are they doing on Instagram? Are they watching Reels? Are they watching stories? Are they engaging in feeds? So I think that's like a whole other level of planning. How do you talk through your clients about that?
Yeah, it's such a great one, Jen. So I look at the Instagram feed. The content on there is going to stick around for a while. So I call it kind of evergreen in a way, in terms of you do want that content still most of the time. It's not always going to be, but going to be relevant for that person that comes across you and then scrolls down your feed like a week after you posted it, a month after you posted it, several months after. You still want them to be able to see and learn and interact and engage with content that's still relevant for them. So we're not using the feed for something that's like a sale that's happening tonight. Yes, from time to time, but think about sharing content. And I break this down into 4 different areas. There's content that provides value to your audience. So like, why would someone follow you? Think about what value you're giving them. Maybe that's through entertainment, which is when we can look at Instagram Reels, but perhaps that's through Instagram Reels more so. Look at how you can inform, educate, entertain, whatever that's going to look like for the right, the right content for the right business. After value, there's connection. And so how are people, and I know that you're huge on this, and disclaimer, we just recorded a great episode with you, Jen, on my podcast, really speaking about human to human marketing. So everyone go and check that one out.
Yes.
And here Jen just sharing so generously. So building connection. And again, Instagram is a great way to practice this and have the courage to try this in showing your face and also sharing your voice. I did a session with a group of celebrants and was looking at their Instagram profiles, and rarely was there a video of them. And I thought, if I'm looking to book you as a celebrant, I would love to see a video, hear how you speak, get a sense of your energy, your manner. How do you show up? Because that's going to come into my decision if I'm looking to book you to be there on my big day and to hold that space for my guests and myself and my partner. So yeah, building connection is so important. Number 3 is credibility. So building, like, why would someone trust your business? And so I say, sprinkle this through. Perhaps it's that you've won a local award for your business. Perhaps it's you've reached a milestone that you can celebrate with your audience. Maybe you've just had your 100th customer. How amazing. Share that. Perhaps it's some media, whatever that looks like. Social proof is a big one too, testimonials, because that's what's just going to plant that seed again and again in your audience that, okay, that business must be all right. If other people are loving it or trusting it, then I can too. And then the 4th one, which also goes into the next stage, which is the profit, is the promotion. What are you actually selling? And I see this missed a lot of the time. Small business owners are so generous. They give so much value. They can be really great at building that connection. But what they often miss and what they find hard is the credibility, because they don't want to be seen as arrogant. You know, it's not very unnatural for us to promote, to talk up ourselves and our business, but also the promotion, because either they assume that their audience know what they sell, or they feel a little bit uncomfortable or don't want to be pushy around saying, hey, this is how you can buy from me. But I see it's as simple as that. Just that invitation. Hey, if this resonated or if this was helpful, then come and find out more about this, or come and book in a call with me, or head to this page on my website, or there's 10 of these products left, come and buy. So I see, look at the content with those 4 categories with your feed. Really, what is that great content that's going to stick around and be helpful or interesting going forward in the future? And then with the stories, this is when it's the daily. What is happening in your day? Just sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes, and you can cross this across those categories. Perhaps the website designer showing a website you've just launched into the world, sharing a little video on your stories. Great credibility. Promotion works well on stories too. Hey, I've got that 1 ticket left. I did an Instagram story. When was it? 2 days ago. I had a spot come up for my retreat. I just popped it on my Instagram story and it's sold. Yeah. And so that is the power. But you got to be doing the other stuff too. No one just wants to only see the sales-based promotion content. So that's the stories. And then the reels is something that I don't consider myself an expert in. I haven't used heaps for my business, but I probably will going forward. I probably do 1 a week or maybe a bit less. But this is where, and Instagram does quite like this content. It's where it's prioritizing this content in the feed a bit. But I would really, and I recommend to my students, really think again about the purpose of this. Make sure it fits with your own values, with your own brand. Don't just copy what other people are doing, because it can be a little bit off brand for you. But this is where you can think about communicating a message in a quick and fun way. And I would really encourage people to make sure the message isn't being lost. I think often with reels, which is why I don't use them a heap for my business, is I can communicate a message better in other ways, in a slightly longer form video where I can talk it or I can write it in the caption, versus the reels where I think sometimes people fall into the trap of having the things pop up on the screen too quickly for people to read.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree with that. And, I love the way you say that it should still be aligned with
Mm,
your business values and,
mhm,
that whole branding thing.
mm,
I do think that reels are somewhere you can definitely have some fun.
yeah.
Like one of my clients, Jane, who has an online store, she lived in Sydney, and because Sydney
Mm.
were just let out a couple of weeks ago, and she like had this story, this little Instagram reel where she opened the door and she's like, freedom, but it was pouring with rain, so she walked back inside. She's like, not today. And that was just showing her personality. It was so great.
Yeah.
It was so funny, and I just
Yeah.
really loved it. But then, as you know, I was
Mm.
talking on your podcast, Emily, there was
Yes.
a lady that I was following who did great reels, and I was really
Yeah.
engaged with her reels, and I was talking to a girlfriend about it, and Lou sort of said to me, oh yes, I really love her products. It was like, oh, she has
Mm.
products.
Yeah.
Like she had never mentioned it. I'd never, it was
Mm.
all about personality and jokes and things like that.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
still follow her. She's a card. I absolutely love her, but I had no idea, and I'd never actually read
Yeah.
like her name to see that she
Yeah.
actually had a business behind this. I thought that
Yeah.
she was just an hilarious influencer or
Mm.
personality. So
Yeah.
yeah, you've kind of got to get that mix right. Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
guess the power of selling that one
Mm.
ticket to your retreat so
Yeah.
quickly is the power of community that you have
Yeah. It
created,
is. Yeah.
which is, of course, one of those really big marketing strategies that we should
Yeah.
be thinking about. So,
Mm.
I think that that's a great testament to the community that
Mm.
you are building.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, I was so like, it really did just feel like, wow, I didn't take it lightly that happened. Yeah, it was pretty special. And actually on that too, when we look at the post side of things, the sharing of the content's only one thing, and then the other is the community. So if we are just I remember, Jen, oh my gosh, I had someone come to a workshop. I used to run Instagram workshops when I was starting my business in the first few years, and I had someone come along to one, and I always used to go around the room and say, what would you like to get out of this? Why are you here? And he said, I want to learn how I never have to log into Instagram and I can just schedule my content. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is just not the right workshop for you. And this is just not the right strategy if we want to have success. Because one part is posting and the other part is the community and building that. And for us to do that, we have to lead. We have to engage when someone comments. Like, we wouldn't just snob them if they like spoke to us in the street. So let's write back, let's reply until we get to the stage when it's impossible for us to do that because perhaps there's 1,000 comments. Really, that is the way that we can build community. And I really do see Instagram as one of the best places to do that. There's just something different about it versus some other platforms. To me, it does feel a little bit more intimate in a way. Perhaps that's just because my community is there. But just that way for us to interact, to have that two-way conversation, which is all modern marketing, old school marketing was very much just broadcasting a message, whereas the opportunities we have today with digital marketing, social media, is to have that interaction with our audience, and that really should be a priority. And to looking at how we are inviting conversation, asking questions, being curious with our audience, and then when they take time out of their day to respond, to share, to open up, that we respect that and we nurture that, and we show up for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a great lesson, no matter what platform you're on. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's that, making sure that you are reaching back out to the people that have reached out to you, that you're building that community, that you're answering messages, DMs and things like that, until, like
Yeah.
you say, until we become the Amy Porterfields of the
Yeah.
world and perhaps just can't cope with the volume. But, I know I'm a long way off that. So
Yes.
that's, I'll keep just showing up as me.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I know we align quite well that I just wanted to touch on finally, if we could, was the way that we can get people deeper into our world. So taking them off social media platforms and taking them deeper into our world. We are both advocates for email marketing. Do you have any tips or tricks around that, or around the mindset of doing that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of the third stage. So we look at the plan, the post, and then I call it the profit. And it's so important. So I agree, Jen, like email is just so huge. It's so powerful. We are lucky with social media to get our content in front of just a very tiny percent of our audience. Each piece of content is going to maybe be seen, I don't know, 5% of people or something. Whereas when we send an email, that lands 99% of the time in someone's inbox. They're going to see that pop up. Then a percentage of them, maybe, I don't know, Jen, 20, 30% or so, depends on your list size, are going to open that email. That's so huge. And then a percentage of them will actually read it and will actually take action. And so we really, it's just so powerful. It also works really hand in hand and so complementary to social media marketing. It's just that other touch point for people. And I see our role on Instagram is to give great value, to be a leader with our content, to nurture and create a community, and then to look at where are we asking people to go. And this is what I call, or actually, I don't call this. This is so not my term. It's the marketing term, the call to action. So this is really what's next. So when we are sharing the content, when we're showing up on stories, when we're chatting with someone in our direct messages, what's the next step? If someone's ready, if someone's interested, where are we sending them? So often a great way to do this is to a strategic lead magnet. So for some businesses, that might be to book in a call with them to chat a little bit more. For some businesses, it might be a coupon code for that online store. For others, it might be a great checklist. For instance, maybe you're a wedding stylist and you've got a great checklist that people need. Whatever it's going to be, that is a great way for people that are a little bit curious about taking the next step with you or moving closer into your business. They've moved from the awareness of what you do to now the consideration perhaps around, is this the right business for me? And so if we can pop in our Instagram profile that like the invitation, hey, if you're interested, this is the next step. We promote that freebie, and we talk about it through our content. We talk about it at the end of posts. We maybe do some standalone posts, some standalone stories, maybe even a reel where you promote this thing for people that are at the stage they're ready to take the next step. It's just going to be a percentage of those people, and we move them then closer into our business, and then we nurture them through email. And we do those same things. We build the connection through email. We give value through email. We show some of our credibility through email. And then ultimately we also invite through promotion. So that's kind of how I look at it. And I think we can have more direct call to actions, which are like, hey, I've got 10 left of this product, or I'm booking one more client for the rest of the year, if that's you, get in touch. So it can be quite direct, and they might just then get in touch with us. And maybe then we organize a call, or we send them straight to that place. But also there's definitely a role to move people to kind of opt in and then be on the journey with us via email as well. Because as we know, it's such a powerful touch point.
Yeah, it is. It's such a great nurture place. It's not so much an attraction place because people already have that level of know, like, and trust because they've handed over their email. But it's definitely an amazing sort of strategy for, that whole nurture to convert type of process. So yeah, no, there was such great advice in there. And hopefully anyone listening, it's just, again, one of those touch points of, are you doing this? Are you building a list? We know that social media could disappear overnight. A couple of weeks back, it kind of did.
Oh my gosh, it did. It was like,
and, even though I know my business would take a dive, I know it wouldn't die. And so I think that's really important question to be asking, if social media disappeared tomorrow, do you still have a business? And if that makes you shake, then that's when you need to listen to advices like Emily's and think about how you can get them onto that nurturing email list. Most certainly, this has been such a great chat and so much gold in here. And I know that we've spoken on Instagram, so if anyone's listening and they're not on Instagram, so many of these principles still apply. So
that's the thing, Jen. I just wanted to say basically everything we talked about, use it on your own platform, use it on the platform that works for them. All of these things, planning, then sharing that great content, engaging, and then moving people to the next step. It's just we need it everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. And so, just cut out the word Instagram if you're listening to that, and replace it with whatever platform that you feel that your ideal audience are on the most. Emily, thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a great conversation. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got my podcast, like I mentioned before, Jen's a guest. So definitely check that one out. It's called The Emily Osmond Show. And I do normally a couple of episodes a week, so you can tune into them. I'm on Instagram, believe it or not. So you can find me at Emily Osmond on there. And then I always have a great freebie on my website. So it changes up over time. It could be a masterclass that I'm running. It could be a checklist, could be a guide. So just go to emilyosmond.com/free and check out what I have.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I will have all those in the show notes. So don't worry if you didn't get time to write those down. But anyway, thank you so much again, and look forward to following along on Instagram even more.
Yeah, likewise, Jen. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.
Did you take so much away from that conversation? I know I did. I've listened to Emily's the Emily Osmond podcast for a little while now, and I've always admired her passion and her knowledge, and of course the stories that she shares over there. So I was absolutely delighted to have her on my podcast, and a little bit chuffed that I was on hers as well. Just another reason why podcasts are so brilliant, because you get to build these connections with other podcasters. I'd really love you to head into the Facebook group, Like-Minded Business Owners, and let me know which tip that Emily gave you really helped you out the most, or maybe the one that has made you think the most about either Instagram or your marketing in general. But guys, that's it for episode 164. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss another episode. And of course, if you could share this episode with another superstar business owner doing that daily grind, I would be really appreciative of that. Of course, the best way to share it is take a screenshot of you listening and share it on your Instagram stories or your Facebook stories, or just in your social media in general, and maybe tag a few business owners. If you've got time to leave a rating and review, I would really appreciate that. Making free weekly content is one of the best things that I do in my business, but I also love to know that you love it. Massive love coming your way if you do. But otherwise, I'll see you next week on episode 165. And in the meantime, let's hang out and get social on social if we're not already. You'll find me on Instagram at @JenDonovan_, on Facebook in the Like-Minded Business Owners group, or of course, my favorite, LinkedIn. You'll find me over there as well, I should say. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peeps, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.